Today I want to bring you a review on an excellent budget Casio, and that's the Casio AE-1500WHX. It's got a few other numbers after it depending on which model you get, but we're just going to call it the Casio AE-1500. The watch has a good amount of features for an inexpensive Casio, a very rugged G-Shock looking design, and an incredibly attractive price point. So whether you're new to watch collecting or if you're just looking for a new, rugged, everyday watch for your collection, check it out because this might fit the ticket. Let's start with the strap because Casio made an interesting choice here. The AE-1500 comes with an extra long resin strap. An extra long strap is a bit of a double-edged sword. If you have huge wrists, this is going to be a godsend. You're going to love this. You're going to finally have a strap that's big enough for you. But if you have very, very small wrists, this might even be too big for you. I have about medium-sized wrists. They're about 6.5, 6.75, and I'm on the third to last strap hole. So I could go two more, but with that, the setting that I have it on, you do even get a little extra strap overlap. It's not too bad, it doesn't bother me, but if you have a below 6.5 inch wrist, this might simply be too large for you. The keeper does a good job holding the strap in place, though you do get a little bit of this bulging kind of action that will take place if you have it on a smaller strap position. I don't get that with my G-Shocks regardless of what sort of strap position I have it on, but with these more inexpensive Casios, I do find you get that bulging sometimes. The strap, like the watch, is made from resin. It's light and comfortable to wear. It has a lot of holes in it as well, so it does a good job at aerating your wrist. It doesn't get too hot and humid even with all-day wear. To keep that extra long strap in place, Casio went with a double pin buckle here. That double clasp keeps it very secure, and you have a ton of different holes on the strap, so there is a lot of strap options for any size of wrist. Let's talk about the watch body, the design a little bit. It has a very rugged look that is going to remind you of a Rangeman. It is the cheap Rangeman. That is the way I would think about this watch, and I think it's totally accurate. The buttons are very easy to press. They're metal, and there's total separation between the buttons and the plastic pieces outside of them, meaning that if you have gloves on or very large hands, it's not going to be difficult to touch these buttons at all. The buttons are called Adjust, Light, Mode, and Start, but you're also getting full time the day of the week, the month, and the date. And then of course you get the time on here, you get dedicated seconds at the bottom, but it also has this animation for the seconds on the side of the watch face just to give it some more visual interest and to take advantage of that large screen. The watch has 5 alarms, which it tells you on the screen as well, and on the screen it's going to illuminate which, if any of your alarms are turned on, and it'll also let you know if the hourly signal beep is turned on as well. Overall, I think this looks way more expensive than it actually costs. At first glance, I think a lot of people would think this is a G-Shock just because it's so large and rugged, but it's priced like any of the inexpensive Casios you find. Now let's talk about this massive case size. At 51 millimeters, the AE-1500 is definitely on the large size, which might not be everyone's cup of tea, but if you're into big, bold watches, this one's going to be a winner. It's great with short sleeves. If you're wearing a long sleeve jacket like this, don't expect it to easily slide under your jacket. Not only is it wide, but it's also reasonably thick. So just all in all, this is a big boy. But it's made from resin, so it's very lightweight. It's not an obnoxiously heavy and it doesn't feel large when you're wearing it on your wrist all day, which is a plus. But keep in mind, with that large case size, you also get a large watch face. It makes it very easy to tell the time, the date, whatever you're looking for at a glance because the time readout is simply so large. So if you want a big watch, you also get a very large time readout, which is great. The case is made from resin, which isn't too exciting, but it's a very practical choice. Resin is lightweight, tough, and it's resistant to knocks and bumps, which means this is a great daily driver kind of watch. You can wear this out and about and you're not going to feel like you're banging it up everywhere and it's going to really be wearing quickly. With resin, it doesn't have the premium feel like you get with stainless steel, but of course you're getting this at around $30 Canadian, so a premium feel would be appreciated, but it's certainly not expected. Now for the screen material on the face, Casio opted for acrylic here, which is pretty standard for a watch in this price range. It's definitely not as durable or scratch resistant as sapphire or even mineral glass, so you do want to be careful not to bump and scrape the screen as much as you can. However, it does have these raised plastic bits that go over and above the screen, which is really going to help protect it from any kind of knocks and bumps that it's going to get in its day-to-day use. One thing that's great about the AE-1500 is its battery life. It's not a solar watch or anything like that, but this is powered by a CR2032 battery, which Casio claims will get you 10 years of battery life. Now, how do I know how confident they are? They're so confident they put 10-year battery life right on the watch face itself, so there's no escaping it. When it does come time, you can change it yourself. It has a stainless steel case back that's screwed down. You also get 10 bar or 100 meter water resistance on this thing. So you can absolutely wear this doing anything you want. The primary thing that's going to determine if you get that 10-year battery life or not is going to be how much you use the backlight. If you use the backlight sparingly, once every couple days or something like that, you're gonna get closer to that 10 years of battery life. Whereas if you work in a dark environment, or if you're checking your backlight every 15 seconds, 30 times a day or something like that, you're gonna run through that battery way faster. Overall, I've been very impressed by the backlight. It has a nice big, easy to press button, and it also has afterglow, meaning that it runs for about a second when you press the button, rather than only staying on the time you're holding the light. It has two LEDs that are about in the 4 o'clock and 6 o'clock position, and it does a great job at illuminating the entire screen. Because the face and the numbers are so big, I find that even in low light, I can often see this without having to turn on the backlight. But when you do turn on that backlight, you have a completely clear, easy to read, illuminated watch face. Let's take a closer look at the watch module, and you can just see how easy it is to see the time on this watch face. A little animation fills up and then unfills as the seconds pass. And you also see that when you're using the timer and that sort of thing. You can see those large, big buttons, adjust, light, start, and mode. Very easy to press with those metal buttons. This is a 3502 module, very standard in the Casio world. You're gonna hold this button to adjust, press the mode button to move between the different parameters here, so you can set that up exactly how you want it. Mine is completely accurate though, so we're gonna leave that exactly how it is. Now we press mode the first time, that's gonna take us to our alarm. Alarm 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this is how you're going to turn on and off the hourly chime. Now, when we look at alarm 1, one thing I don't like about this watch, there's no back button. There's only a forward. So for example, I'm gonna hold adjust to set this alarm. And let's say I wanna set it to 3. Let's say I go to 4. Oh, I can't go back. So you have to loop back around. There's only one button that you can use. Not a big deal, but just something to be aware of. Change modes, okay, great. So now this alarm is gonna go off every day at 4:04 p.m. If we hold the adjust button again, press mode, press it again. Now you see the flashing of these numbers up top. Now let's say if I was to leave it like this, what that means is that in the month of January, this is gonna go off every day at 4:04 p.m., but only in January, not on any of the other months. Now let's say if I go up here, and if I change these flashing numbers, now that means this is only going to go off on January 2nd at 4 p.m. So very, very odd, but there's actually one more way you can set it. So now it only says the 2, so that means on the 2nd of the month, this alarm will go off at 4:04 p.m. So different ways you can set this. I don't know how useful they're gonna be, but I think it's great. It gives you so many different options. Now next we're gonna go to our timer. This is a 20-minute timer I just started. So you see the animations, like I said, on the side, they climb up, whereas they typically climb down. Your minutes are the large readout, and then your seconds are the smaller one. But one thing this watch has, which is awesome, we're gonna hold adjust. This is how we're gonna adjust our timer, up to a 24-hour timer if you want. So none of that 60-minute timer crap. You get a full proper timer. And here, of course, we can adjust the minutes. But while this is in the flashing adjustment phase, if you press the light button, you're gonna see that A repeat come on and off, right? So A repeat means auto repeat, meaning that when I start this, this is gonna be a 20-minute timer, and when the timer counts down to 0, it's gonna automatically loop again, and it's gonna start another 20-minute timer. For some people, that is gonna be reason enough to buy this watch, and it's a feature I love to see. Pressing mode again is going to bring us to our stopwatch. Nice big display, which makes it very easy. You've got your sub-seconds, your seconds, and then the minutes are going to be here. This does give you the first and last place sort of a thing, and it also gives you a lap time. So it's a functional stopwatch. Nobody uses most of these functions, you know, it's kind of confusing at times, but it's not hard. If you are somebody that needs to do first and second place or lap time, it's really easy to figure out, but it's just not something I kind of keep in top of mind because I so rarely need to do first and second place. If I am doing anything on this watch, it's just the standard stopwatch. And it has a nice faster animation as you see when you're using the stopwatch as compared to the regular timekeeping or even during the timer. Now, when we go to the next setting here, this is going to be our world time. This is another time zone. It's not actually 304. You see, it's 104. So the interesting thing here, the seconds are going to match up to your regular time, but you can set both the hours and the minutes. There are some time zones in the world that have different minutes than everyone else, which is kind of a weird thing, but it is true. But most people, you're gonna keep the same minutes and just set the same hours, and then that way you can keep track of 2 different time zones at the same time. Pressing mode one more time brings it back to our regular watch face, and then there you go. That is the module on this Casio watch. So overall, what's my favorite thing about the Casio AE-1500? Well, I would have to say it's the value that you get with this watch. You get more features on this than you find on many cheap Casios. It has a very large and rugged design with a ton of screen real estate to see your information at a glance. With the size and the ruggedness, it just gives you a confidence to wear this every day as a beater kind of a watch. And then with that 10-year battery life, you really don't have to worry about much at all for a decade. What's my least favorite thing? I really don't have too many complaints about this watch, but the only thing I would kind of complain about, which is kind of important, kind of not, is I find when I'm looking straight on the screen, it looks ever so blurry. As soon as I rotate it at about 3 degrees, so it's not completely flat, it's slightly offset, crystal clear, sharp as can be. So I find when I'm wearing this, I'm always seeing it in that orientation where it's crystal clear and sharp. But it is weird that if I look at this completely straight on, it looks ever so slightly blurry, which I really don't understand why, because I really haven't found that with my other Casios. So there you go, guys. That is the Casio AE-1500, an incredibly affordable watch in Casio's budget lineup. You get a great feature set on this. You get 5 different alarms with those granular alarm settings, and then you get that auto repeat timer. For a lot of people, that is enough to make you buy the watch. I don't have that on any of my G-Shocks, and I love having that feature because it's something that actually comes in handy, whereas I find on the stopwatch, for example, I rarely use that in day-to-day life. The beep in the alarm is decently loud on this as well, louder than some of my smaller watches, but I wouldn't depend on this to be the only thing that wakes me up in the morning. So if you're in the market for an inexpensive Casio that's going to be an excellent rugged option and a perfect daily driver, check out the Casio AE-1500. You might really like it.